Oh, what? Oh, I thought you.
I
I'm
thought we were.
recording, but
Oh, we are in. Okay. Now we're in. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, every day I wake up with fresh hatred. Welcome, welcome to the Peak of Fiction podcast. This is our live debut. We're going to be covering Kagurabachi, the hit new manga from Shonen Jump. Well, I mean, it's not as new because it's been out for a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's
Like
been
a
it's
year or two
definitely
now.
out for a bit. Yeah,
For a bit. But
the anime will be new. They're releasing
yes, the anime is gonna be new. It took Shonen Jump by storm a few years ago, and we're gonna be covering it. This is, of course, the Peak of Fiction podcast, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, supao,
Yo, what's good, everyone? Glad to see you here.
Beto,
Hi guys, welcome and enjoy this episode, please, and thank you.
Gray the Samurai.
I'm excited today to explore the world of incredible katana and blacksmithing and revenge, and it's going to be incredible. I'm excited. Hope y'all are excited. We're going to have a great time today.
And Bates the Dust, myself. But yes, we are discussing all the things Kagurabachi, the first 18 chapters specifically of Kagurabachi. And I have to say, as someone who remembers the buzz around this manga when it first came out, or when it was launching, Kagurabachi had a very weird build-up in comparison to any other manga I've seen. I don't know if you all remember the build-up, but Kagurabachi was memed to death.
Yeah.
In the lead-up, like the big joke about Kagurabachi was of how like generic it was as a shonen property, and how it was going to be one of the many victims of the Shonen Jump X.
They're calling it like an industry plant as a manga.
I will say
that's such a funny take because like I'm not even gonna front, brother. There is a manga that I've been really enjoying. I don't think we're ever gonna read or watch it. It was and it's been highlighted on Shonen Jump. It literally has had less than 100 chapters. Kineto's Magic. It's 28 chapters, and this chapter I was like, why does it feel like they're wrapping the story? What's happening in this chapter?
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, the end, and I was like, yeah. I literally like so much rage just poured out of me because I was actually really enjoying the story. The art was good. Premise was interesting. They're like, look at all these arcs of all these characters that we met in these 28 chapters. What wasn't that great? I'm like, why does it feel like they're wrapping it? And they wrapped it. They're 28 chapters in, out, done.
That is how it goes. The Shonen Jump X spares no one.
First
it
time
really doesn't. The Shonen Jump X is so brutal that it didn't even spare Kishimoto.
Because his new series. It was like Samurai 11.
Samurai 8 or was it 11 or 8?
It might have been 8.
One of those. They got, and if Kishimoto can get got by the Shonen Jump X, anybody can get. Anybody is available for it.
Immediately went back to Boruto after that.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. It is because if I remember correctly, the Shonen Jump system is like you get the physical magazine, and you do there is like a survey at the end of the magazine, where you say what's your favorite out of like these things, and basically there's kind of like a feedback, like you give direct feedback to the Shonen Jump editors on what's good, and it might be different now with like digital as well, but they do kind of gauge of when people buy the Shonen Jump magazine, is this particular manga wasting space in the book, right? That can be given to someone else.
Damn,
that's interesting.
It's a really.
I almost this is almost enough that you want to subscribe to Shonen Jump's physical copies. I don't think they make this anymore, but just to be like, nah, this is peak.
It's interesting. It's a very interesting system. I will say one thing I do kind of like about the Shonen Jump system. I don't think it's a perfect one, but it does kind of filter out the slop, right? Shonen Jump, and I'm not saying like every Shonen Jump series is perfect, but Shonen Jump does not have the same, or the big publishers don't have the same slot problem that like Webtoon has, right?
Yeah.
Or a lot of like manhwa, because manhwa is infested. Because like these things, I mean, even though the art can be good, it feels like they don't take long to make, or to conceptualize at the very least. And the artists probably have a pretty good flow, like work stream on how to make it, and it feels like every single one, not every single one, but so many of them are trying to chase like a trend or jump on a thing and go as fast as possible and get picked up. And they have a real slot problem because there's no real gatekeeping there. And I think having gatekeeping does help. I think we've gotten a lot. We would have gotten a lot worse products. Product's not the right word. I think we've gotten a lot more. Yes, a lot more inferior stories, a lot more derivative stories, if there was no like gate there for Shonen Jump. Like, you would have gotten, if they could gotten away with it at different points, you probably would have gotten like a dozen direct Bleach clones, like a dozen Naruto clones, a dozen like whatever.
Yeah.
If you could get away with it.
Yeah. Shout out to Solo Leveling. There's like a bajillion there's a bajillion Sun Jin Woos on Webtoon.
Yep. Solo Leveling opening the game.
Same look. It's like copy paste.
Yeah, same guy. Yeah.
Even with the video game screen, you look at it, like, yo, is this the same guy who made it? So no, different guy.
No, different guy. Yeah, I do like their quality control. I think that's important for any brand as reputable as Shonen Jump. They need quality control. It's important. I agree.
It's a brutal system, but hey, it works.
Yeah.
But back to Kagurabachi, it was mean because the very first picture I think of Kagurabachi was like the pose of like him with the sword posing up, and in the premise of like, oh, it's about like them hunting the katanas, all right, and and they're fighting sorcerers in the city. It felt so like generic, cliche, and generic. And when you got that first chapter and the line Chihiro says where he's like, I keep the scar because every day I want to wake up with fresh hatred. It was a rough first impression. It was a rough first impression. And it added to the memes. I think at the time the common meme was what was it? It was it wasn't the dust has settled. It was what was the phrase? Oh, help me out here.
I've never seen these memes, which is why I'm like, this is interesting.
Are you talking about
the Kagurabachi memes?
Where it's just like, I'm the best thing, and then I'm the best what
thing.
Yeah,
enough time has passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the response every time. Was enough time has passed. Kagurabachi is the best manga, greatest manga ever made. That was the thing. That was like Kagurabachi status, but people, I think, over time, because the manga actually proved to be quality, as we're going to talk about, but being good. So people went from ironic viewers to legitimate viewers over time. Because like if you go into, as I remember, I was in the subreddits during the early days and checking out and like seeing the memes, and in real time you could see the shift of people going from ironic to like, wait a second, hold up, this is actually kind of good. And I think that's a very interesting thing. I think that's just a very interesting position for a manga.
That is hilarious. I never knew this. This is such interesting news. Yeah, because I just kind of was like, oh, that looks cool. Sword guy. Let me tap in because I'm greatest samurai. This is what I do. And I was like, oh, nah, this is woo. I'm a fan of this heat, boy.
Yeah, I think the memes definitely propped up the popularity of the series because they definitely gave it a lot of they put a lot of shine on it even before it came out. Like I know that mangaka is like blessed right now. He got an active community like on chapter 1.
Yeah. You know, not many mangaka would have that many people checking out the very first chapter of your work. So to get into Kagurabachi, the first 18 chapters, we have Gray, who's going to do a plot breakdown of it as we go into deeper discussion. So I will let you take it away.
Awesome. So the story starts off with the character Kunishige Rokihira. We essentially see him forging a sword. We kind of talk about like the origin of swords and the building of swords, and they kind of start off with talking about him and his son Chihiro. And they live a life of sword forgery. They kind of build and craft these swords. Blacksmith. And so he takes his job when he's working on the swords very seriously. When he's not working on the swords, he's kind of goofy. And his son is kind of like burdened with all his responsibilities of like taking care of his dad, paying attention to his dad's quirks, all this stuff. And so like even like he had like a goofy scene where he's like talking to the family goldfish that he bought. He's thinking of them as food. Son's like, I have another thing to take care of now that you bought these goldfish. I got to take care of this goldfish and you. This is crazy. And so there's a scene pretty early where they are visited by an old friend of Konoshige's named Togoshiba. And he kind of recounts how Konoshige's blades really helped in the Sete War 15 years ago. And how Konoshige, as he's the one who forged these enchanted blades, was a hero. After she believes, Konoshige asks his son, Chihiro, like, are you ready to take on the responsibility? Like, understand swords have the capability of being weapons of slaughter, but they can also be used to help people and to save people. So it's important that you are very thoughtful about who has these swords. It's kind of like, I hate to compare it this way, but it's very Uncle Ben, Peter Parker-esque. With great power comes great responsibility. The only difference is that it would almost be like if Uncle Ben was making like weapons of destruction.
No, if Uncle Ben was in the lab cooking up a spider spider serum.
You're like, with great power comes great response. You got to use this stuff right. But the principles that he was trying to instill in his son stuck. His son wasn't like, yeah, whatever, Dad. He was like, he took his father's advice extremely seriously, but it's kind of a running joke at this point in the story. Chihiro seems to take everything seriously. He's not a very lighthearted kid. He's kind of like a parental figure in some ways, but a student in others, which is really interesting. They fast forward, and there's a Yakuza group called the Kurogumi that hold control over a city, and they have help from a certain organization of sorcerers. They meet, we at this point meet a character. He wears a fedora and has a flame-shaped tattoo on his left hand. And he has this ability, this sorcery that allows him to summon tree branches. Chihiro and Shiba essentially break in and they confront the Yakuza. And they decide that, like, hey, instead of going with the diplomatic approach, we've seen how you all operate. They originally were going to take a bit more of a subtle approach, and then they saw kind of their brutality, and they're like, you know what? We're just going to go in and handle it.
Yeah, because they like strung up a bunch of people like in the street.
Very brutal.
And there's definitely an element of they're terrorizing the people. And it's like, what would you call this time period that they live in? Because it is is it modern day? I wouldn't call it modern day. Is it supposed to be modern day? 2000s? I don't know. They got flip phones, so people have flip phones in Japan.
Yeah.
So it's like the 90s?
Could be 2000s.
Yeah, I think it's like 2004 or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like ancient because people are driving cars, you know, like there's a level of like, this feels a bit more modern 2000 sounds about right though.
Yeah, but the cars don't feel like the cars don't feel like new cars, right? They don't feel like modern day cars.
Yeah. Maybe I'll say like 80s.
No,
maybe even 70s.
No, because they got cell phones.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's
they got flip phones.
Period.
I mean, because probably, but
like there's elements of futuristic things and like vintage things within a single time frame. It's definitely designed so you can't really pinpoint the time frame. I
and the dress style is also
it flip flops between something
unique.
Like a modern or I don't know, like a pop culture vibe. Then it goes to like something.
And does anyone have guns? Has anyone used a gun in this series?
Not a ton, because magic is so much more powerful, it seems, than just pulling out a gun and shooting. And the swords seem to add a bit of a boost to these abilities. So like people are using mostly swords and magic so far that we've seen.
I'm glad they haven't set the date, because if they actually did put a time period, you're just gonna be wondering like, did any of these magical people did 9/11 or something? Or...
I mean, the question is, would they be as brave as Aijin to have a guy do 9/11?
Yeah.
Not 9/11. Well, he didn't do 9/11. He did another 9. He did a second 9/11.
Oh yeah, because they keep referring to like the wars.
Because in have you ever seen Aijin Demi-Human, Beto?
No.
What about you, Gray?
I've heard of it. I never watched it.
Okay, all right. So they changed it in the show. They were too cowardly in the show. I mean, the plan he does, because he basically in IGN, people can like there's certain people who can like regenerate, right? They can come back to life, like from death, right? Infinitely. And then some of them can even develop like a kind of like ghostly projection, like a stand. And one of the villains is this guy who just loves the fact that he can kill people and come back infinitely, and he's doing most of the stuff for the love of the game. And there's a bit where he wants to get to like I think protagonist or somebody, but they're like locked in like a super building, and he cannot do it conventionally. So in the show, he bombs like the bottom of one building, because basically they've secured like the building he's in completely, so he can't get in. So he goes to the building next to the building. He goes to like a different building in the vicinity and plants explosives and basically crashes one skyscraper into another. The explosives. But in the manga, what he did was he used his like stand ability to sneak guns onto a plane, and he did 9/11. He just hijacked the plane and flew a passenger jet into the skyscraper.
How old is the series?
It came on the 2010s, man. 2010s.
Yeah,
but like I said,
I know why they retconned it.
I'm just saying, but if you had some bravery,
never forget it.
I feel like more okay. I'm gonna say the Kagurabachi phrase. Enough time has passed. We need. I think more media should be willing to have villains either do 9/11, like a reference in their history that they're responsible for 9/11, or do something 9/11-esque. Because I feel like there's a lot of historical events where they'll have like a villain or a secret society like pull off like something big, like the big one, like a JFK assassination, or they'll do the World War I, like they'll assassinate Archduke Ferdinand, or they'll bomb something, or they'll do different events in history that have happened. And as part of like, oh, this is like a secret organization, or they're so evil, they were responsible. But 9/11 is like, oh, we can't touch it. That's all. It's so sacred. So whatever. I understand, awful event, terrible event, but people have no problem.
Other terrorist events have happened in history.
Yes, and people have no problem referencing other terrorist events, right?
Yeah, like what we're talking about right now.
I guess this is the one that happened to America, but like
to America, that's why they take it a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'm just like as a storytelling thing. Like for example, one of the biggest, funniest things about the MCU is there's like 3 to 4 different secret organizations having puppeteering events behind the scenes, like the Black Widows, the Mandarin guys, probably a couple others I can't think of, but like the Hydra, right? But somehow none of them did 9/11. Somehow,
a lot of other stuff.
Somehow, none of them did 9/11. Like nobody. That was just random. That was someone else. That was a whole different thing. None of them did 9/11. But
Hydra's bosses were the Nazis, but like, still not 9/11. It's like, all right.
You'd think. I'm just saying, statistically, you'd think one of them would have done 9/11. I mean,
I had the numbers. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm just saying, but nobody's brave enough to say that, they couldn't say that, like, oh yeah, Bucky did 9/11, in all the other crimes that he did. Statistically, he would have.
Statistically.
Yeah, he would have played some part in 9/11.
It's crazy. It's crazy you're saying this because I just watched. Last night watched The Winter Soldier. So
he did. Brain is very they basically say or imply that Bucky killed JFK. In the movies, right? He killed JFK. Yes. Like, he did a ton of different stuff, but I guess no. 9/11's too far.
Give it like, I don't know, 2050, 20 something.
I mean, we already get I feel we already get.
We get like a bunch of things, yeah.
We get pseudo 9/11s, and we get like 9/11 imagery and stuff, but there isn't. I guess the closest thing we've gotten to depicting 9/11. I mean, I guess like in Superman they do like 29/11s in Man of Steel. That's a whole different thing. All right, Gray, please resume what we came here to talk about. Kagurabachi.
we have derailed. We have derailed wildly. We're going to get back.
How many times to rate 9/11?
Oh, in terms of terrorist attacks, or
we're not doing it. We're not doing this, bro. We're not doing this. This is not.
This is your first time ever.
Peak of terror? Like, what's happening right now? This is a live stream, brother. We can't edit that out.
You know what? I stand by what I said. I don't believe I said anything wrong.
Okay.
Really leaving a good digital footprint here.
Anywho's, so Chihiro and Shiba see that these people are willing to commit lynchings of people they don't like. Which is horrific because before they happen, they're like, maybe we can talk it out. Maybe we can have a conversation, propose a deal, figure out kind of amicable ground between the two of us. And then they like show up and they look up and they're just like bodies, like severed, hung bodies on nooses. Really brutal. And they're like, okay, well, do you know where to find them? He's like, yeah. He's like, all right, we're going to go right there right now. We're just going to go right there right now. And so they kind of showcase a scene of Chihiro and Shiba essentially taking down the Yakuza with just the two of them. And the scene is pretty cold because the Yakuza have this mentality of no one will challenge us because we're powerful. We also have the Hisaku kind of backing us, which is that group of sorcerers. So we have nothing to be afraid of. We have nothing to worry about. No one will challenge us. We're in charge. And then Chihiro kind of like walked in the front door, like not like a subtle stealth thing. He walked through the front door, and he kind of showcases that he has a set of principles about who should be allowed to wield katana. And he feels like these people do not have the right to wield katana. They are not worthy, right? And so he utilizes enchanted blades with special powers. And he kind of calls out the name of the blades, and each blade has a different capability or a certain power that's associated with it. So he starts off with an ability called N10, and literally materialized fish start swimming around, eerily resembling the goldfish that we saw.
It's a very cool aesthetic
early in the chapter. It's an extremely cool aesthetic. and we can literally see the blade almost like reverse dripping mana coming from the sword. And then he says "Kudo," and literally we see an entire group of Yakuza lose the middle of their bodies with a single blade swing. He's doing acrobatics, flying in the air. It's just his capabilities are next level. And they really good. The fights in this series are
like
they're actually bonkers.
And just with all like the he does and puts when slashing enemies, and even like when sometimes when you see like a manga bubble of someone just talking, and then mid fight you just see blood splatter on that manga panel. Like he takes I forgot who writes this, but the mangaka of this definitely like he takes full advantage of the fact that this is like in manga form and tries to like push the limits of that. I feel.
Yeah, and I really
I agree with that take.
I'm really I don't know if I'm enjoying, but it's very interesting that Chihiro he just kills dudes. You know, he's just popping. There's no talk, no jutsu here. There's no like let's have a conversation, let's have a dialogue. It's a real like, nah, I'm just gonna kill you. He just walks in and just, which is what you'd expect for a manga about swords, but you'd be surprised the amount of
non-lethal. Rurouni Kenshin doesn't do that.
Yeah, Ichigo I don't feel even goes out of his
way. There's a bunch of series,
where they use extremely lethal weapons, but don't kill anybody with them, or the swords. The swords may as well be bats that people are hitting each other with, as opposed to swords.
Foam bats, actually. No, I'm playing. But no, you're spot on. It's true. A lot of shonen do that no kill rule thing because Batman's so popular. Probably not the reason. But this series is interesting because to your point, Chihiro doesn't love to kill. This activity is not something that he finds delightful. He's usually not smiling when he's doing these things. I think he would prefer to take different routes, but when he realizes that these people are wielding swords and they're spitting on his father's legacy, he kind of throws reason fully out the window and says, you all are no longer deserving of what you are holding, and I will relieve you of it through pure brutality. And it's great. I think it fits a character. It fits a character's storyline very well, right? A by any means necessary kind of character, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. But back to the storyline. So he cleans house by making the house dirty. There's literally a panel of him standing over the boss in a room full of just like bodies. And he says, hey, tell me about the Hisaku, right? This group of sorcerers backing you. I want to hear all about them. And so the boss of the Yakuza organization, the Kodagumi, is like, are you crazy? If I tell you about the Hisaku, they're gonna do horrible things to me. And he's like, I don't care about who they are or what they are. I have to cut them down. I got to take them out. And so then what ends up happening is the Kodagumi's boss decides, hey, if they're going to go this far, I guess I am willing to talk. So he tries to talk. He definitely tries to talk. And then as he's trying to talk, his face, it's pretty brutal. His face starts sprouting, like these like would look like tentacles, like vines, like tree vines, and just like bloody tree vines just sprouting from his face and his body, and his body bursts. And his disfigured body is like a part of this tree.
Yeah, it's pretty
essentially it's like basically a trap. It's pretty messed up.
Tree powers can be terrifying.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I forgot the admiral from what?
Oh, great.
You forgot about Green Bull? Ryogaku?
Green Bull, yeah.
The world's strongest prop.
Green Bull is not moving like this.
Just you wait. You know, he's been holding back, but when Green Bull is unleashed,
oh
wow. He's serious. things get nasty. Things get gnarly. But essentially, Shiba and Chihiro decide to exit. Chihiro is a little wobbly because that fight took an enormous amount out of him. He also is kind of new to fighting. Shiba makes a statement like, literally 3 years ago, this kid did not know how to fight at all. He had zero combat experience. He learned all of these abilities within the past 3 years. And he hasn't even unlocked what the blades can truly do. He's kind of scratched the surface, so to speak. And so they plan to return to Tokyo. And then they have a flashback scene of kind of what Chihiro saw and what happened to Chihiro earlier. So they go backwards in time, 3 years prior. They show that the Hishaku, which are the group that is backing this Yakuza group, the Kodogami, actually were the ones who killed Konoshige. And so they killed Konoshige, stole the 6 enchanted blades that he had formed during the war, and they took them with them. Shiba arrived too late to be able to help his friend, and Chihiro was scarred on his knees looking at the burning rubble and his dead father, and he said he blacked out, so he kind of passed out, so he didn't see everything that happened, but he did see the hand of the people that killed them, so he saw the flame emblem tattoo. Really dark scene, but it explains a lot about kind of Chihiro's perspective. And then he makes a vow. He makes a vow through this because he's just so disturbed. He's like, I can't believe all this happened. How could they have done this? Do they know how much my father loved the blades? There's like a lot of emotion kind of wrapped up in this scene. And he makes a vow after kind of thinking through what's just happened that he's going to show them. He's going to personally show them what his dad believed. He will cut them down. He is with the smoke. He's in tears. Like, and he's just like, you know what, man? My dad always told me the suckers don't deserve the blades. They took them, so I got to take them back. And I'm going to do it by cutting them down. And like, it's just like the energy on this is just like so cool to me.
He starts playing
because he's not like, oh, woe is me. Yeah, like he's just like, yo, let's get to the smoke. What were you saying, Super?
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying, you know, he started playing Pooh Shiesty in the back, you know, get it back in blood.
Yeah, he's literally,
bro.
But yeah, no, you definitely see that his resolve deepen from these events. It actually is just like a huge reason to why he kind of like is as we'll get into it, but why he kind of feels a little. I don't say he's like emotionless or anything like that, but he is have a very like plain
subdued,
yeah, outlook. In his interactions with like other people and whatnot.
Yeah. I would definitely say so.
You say that. What are you gonna say, babe?
No, I'm disagreeing, but yeah, I would say so. He's an interesting character because he does present at first like an edgelord, but the real joke is he's not. He really isn't. I mean, he can be cold sometimes when he's like cutting some down like somebody, but he's not an edgelord at all.
Yeah.
He's actually a real soft. Like I think people have been comment, he's like a soft and nice guy. You know, and like even the initial line of "I wake up every day with fresh hatred" doesn't appear to be true. That just appears to be something he said, but that's not. He's not about that. He's not a real hater. Like I know real haters, and he's not a real hater. He doesn't want it. Okay, he's not Eren. Okay, he's not Guts. He's not season 1, 4th in. He's not a real hater.
He doesn't have it in him.
Yeah, he's a fake demon. I'm sorry.
He's a fake demon. Okay, I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, emotionally, I would say I'm not saying he can't fight, but like as in terms of being like hardcore, no.
He's not like the world is my enemy. He definitely doesn't give the world is my enemy.
Yes,
his malice is very targeted.
And like for example, oh sorry, I didn't mean to step on you, Gray.
No, please, no, keep going.
All right. For example, like if Eren was put in a position where it's like, oh, they got a hostage, right? And the choice is, do you save the hostage or you get your revenge? That's not a hard. Eren's like, yeah, revenge, man. Give me that revenge. That's not your hero. He's not really. That's what I mean when I say he's a fake demon. Because I know when it comes to doing the right thing and being a hater, he's gonna pick doing the right thing.
Yeah. He has emotional range, right?
Yeah.
He can turn it off and on. You're right. A lot of it's so funny you mentioned those examples because a lot of those examples are crash outs. Like they have no way to turn the rage off. It's just on all the time.
It just leaks out.
They're stuck. Yeah. But Chihiro is I feel like he's a more balanced character in that he has nuance. He can flip the switch when it's time to flip the switch. As we dig deeper into this arc, we see moments where he has to flip the switch pretty hard because things kind of get to that point. But at this point in the story, we see him kind of on both sides of that coin, where he's like, I love my dad. I love what my dad loved. People are spitting on my dad's legacy, disrespecting my dad. So I'm going to get it back in blood. I'm going to handle this my own way. I'm going to get revenge on the people. I'm going to cut them down, take the blades back. But he's not like that towards others. And he's also not like that against people that are not the Hishaku. Like, he thought the Yakuza could be reasoned with. He goes, maybe we can have a conversation. Like, he felt like, because they didn't do that to my dad, and they aren't really enchanted blades in this way, maybe I can talk to them, we can talk things out. And then he saw what they did. He was like, oh, no, I was wrong. They don't deserve this. And then he saw them wield a katana. He's like, oh, they think they can wield blades? That's not what we're doing. That's not happening at all. We're not doing that.
Get your mitts off that.
Yeah, get your mitts off that.
I do find it interesting that they... Yeah, I do find it interesting that he considers regular katanas like the same, like, oh, you dare to wield the katana. Because I don't know, I feel like we're talking about two different classes of weaponry.
I think there's a piece too, though, where like because he saw how hard his dad worked for so long, he has a measure of respect for all katana. Although he's hunting down these enchanted blades made by his father, I think to him he's just like, I know what blacksmiths put in to make these things because I watched my father toil over them for so long, and I helped him. I worked alongside him, so I kind of, in his mind, it kind of feels like there's an emotional connection between a blade and its wielder. And if he feels like you are unworthy to wield a blade at all because you're kind of a scumbag, then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna relieve you of your duties. I rock with it. It's such an interesting character design. But that is kind of where things kick off. Also, they are in Tokyo.
Yeah, what chapter are we? 1, 2?
We're entering 3 now.
Okay, we're making amazing pace.
I mean, we have hit some tangents.
Yeah, we did.
I won't deny it. Hopefully it's going a little bit faster. We'll see. But so then we go backwards in time again. So they do a lot of bouncing between the tragedy and modern day. The tragedy and modern day. So now we're back to time with the tragedy. And then Shiba tells a character named Hina, who owns a cafe, the Haru Haru Cafe, that essentially they employ sorcerers to different jobs. They mention Shiba tells her that Kunishige was killed and kind of the scenario around it and kind of what happened. And so he also then introduces her to Chihiro. And so she agrees during this meeting that she's going to look for any information related to the Hishaku that they can find to try to help Chihiro and Shiba with their objective. And she finds something. So we jump forward in time, and she lets know, like, hey, I found a girl who may have encountered an enchanted blade, possibly. So they show up to the cafe, and they meet a girl named Char, who has sought protection because there's someone chasing her. But she's not saying who, and she's not saying why. And so they dig a little bit deeper. A few events take place, and essentially, because they get attacked, Chihiro and Char get attacked. They find out that this is real. Also, Chihiro asks some questions of Char that kind of help him to identify, like, oh, wait a minute, what you're describing is a very specific enchanted blade. You wouldn't even know about that, kid. You're way too young. This must be real. In almost the same moment that he finds this out, he's attacked by a sorcerer named Norisaku Madoka, and he summons these I don't know, a Daruma doll, I think they're called.
Yeah.
The Daruma doll explodes. It's a bomb, and it blows Chihiro outside. Chihiro then realizes, he's like, all right, what Char was telling me was not like a kid trying to play a prank, but this is actually legit. Because Norisaku now has Char holding her hostage. She asks Chihiro to save her. He says, got it. You know, the sword and photos thing. Pretty cool. So then he essentially does some tricks with the blade. We get N10. And he cuts the rope that's binding Char because she's all tied up. And he calls for Shiba. Shiba comes over. I don't think I've defined this or explained this, but Shiba seems to be able to teleport, which is
it's
a wild ability. So he literally goes to Char, teleports her to safety, they're gone. And then Shiba explains to Char kind of how sorcery works. Like, anyone can do it, technically. Everyone has the ability within them, the spirit energy within them, to be able to utilize these powers. So now Chihiro and Norisaku are fighting. Exploding Dorama dolls, flying slashes. It's a crazy fight. And then N10 is pulled. Now Norisaku looks and he's like, oh, shoot. This is not just a sword. This is an enchanted blade. He's like, I've encountered one of these before. And so he's trying to egg on Char to come out of hiding so that he can once again kidnap her. And so he says, if anyone that tries to protect you is going to end up dead, like your mother. And I'm like, oh man, that's low blow energy, man. This is a mess. And it rattles her a little bit. But in the same scene, Shiba keeps reminding Char, like trust me, like Chihiro has this. He can handle this. He'll be okay. And so the Daruma dolls are exploding all around Chihiro. He's getting boom from the left, boom from the right. And then he calls on one of his fish. I think it's Eka, to absorb the explosion. And then he releases the absorbed explosion back at Norisaku, which is cold. Like it's like during these chapters, we're seeing him kind of utilize his abilities in such interesting ways.
I think the ability is Nishiki. I think.
Oh, Nishiki, he used Nishiki? Yes.
Yes. Nishiki.
It's
which
insane.
is a fun little if you play Yakuza series, I think it's a fun little connection.
It's familiar.
Yeah, because Nishiki has the tattoo of the koi on his back. It's old, I think.
Oh, actually, you might be.
They're probably Nishiki probably has like a name that is related to fish, and that's why he also has the tattoo.
Well,
but all right,
we see him say "Aka" before the fish shows up, and then he says it again and says "invincible," which is literally his same move, and then it blows him backwards.
So it's Enten, Aka, and Nishiki, right? Or
yes, and each fish does something different. We hadn't seen Aka yet because in the first scene he did not use Aka. He just used the red fish and the multicolored fish. But it's wild that like he's calling on basically the fish from his childhood to like unleash these absolutely insane abilities. It's so cool. So after he quite literally blows him away, he goes over to him. He goes over to Norisaku and he says, he gets in his face, "Where's the enchanted blade, Cloud Gouger?" Which is like, oh, okay. Now we're getting to the next sword. This is gonna be clean. So the group go back to the cafe. Chihiro thanks Hina for the information. And they leave in Shiba's car to get Char some food. Char's like, I'm hungry. So we go get Char some food. And they go to an abandoned warehouse. They kind of go to that scene. And Shiba's now handling the interrogation. The scene of Shiba interrogating Norisaku has this really interesting moment where he kind of puts his foot on Norisaku's foot, and the amount of weight that he applies crushes the ground around them, and his foot is bleeding. And I'm like,
it's just completely
what is this man's ability?
Yeah. I think that's just
now I'm not gonna say that getting your feet crushed won't get information out of some people, but you know, I feel like if you're a seasoned sorcerer, you know, you'd have to do something other than crushing your feet.
Yes, and you're right, because Norisaku after having his foot crushed is just like, this is still more dangerous than you can fathom, and he's still not telling him any real information.
But then he does though, right?
Later. Something else motivates him to talk.
Yeah, I guess.
But not the foot crushing, which is like unbelievable. They have a really fun set of scenes where Chihiro is bringing Char to different places to get food. She's just like, ooh, I'm not ready to go back home yet. Let's get something else. I'm not ready to go back home yet. Let's get something else. She's like, keeps going from like food to food. And then they go to a scene where we meet a character named Sojo. And he is in like what seems to be like a bathhouse.
Yeah.
And there is a man literally that says that he watched the events, probably a member of the Hishaku, said he watched the events, but he didn't grab the kid or come back with the kid. And so he is hung by his wrists with his eyes gouged out.
Not ideal.
Not ideal at all. And you know, he's got this information. He's just like, oh, what were you gonna say, Super?
Oh, not much. Just I can't believe they left him hanging like that.
Yes. No dab back. They left him hanging. Anywho's ridiculous.
I'm here all night.
actually ridiculous. So you know, Sojo is like, oh man, like, what is going on? Like, what do you mean that there's another enchanted blade? I thought there were only 6 enchanted blades. If there's more than 6, why does this random kid have another enchanted blade that we weren't aware of? What's going on? What's happening? And so then they kind of go back to Chihiro and Char in the car. and she talks about how happy she is, and then they describe who Genichi Sojo is, because now somehow Shiba was able to obtain the needed information. At this point, though, it looks like both of his feet have been encased in the ground, and he is under extreme duress. It's kind of an interesting scene. And so they explain kind of how big he is. Weapons dealer, controls Japan from behind the scenes, big fish of the underworld, like super scary dude. And he has Cloud Gouger. So we get to a scene where they are at the light, and they're explaining kind of Chiba's explaining to Chihiro kind of what's happening and how everything's connected to the Hishaku and all this information. And all of a sudden, he's driving his car, and the car isn't moving. It almost seems like he's sinking into like a quicksand of some kind. And then in front of the car, there's this like spiral in the ground. And there are a body horror amalgamation of a person that we're seeing there. And Chihiro essentially says, all right, I'm gonna have to handle this. And so we get to a scene where Chihiro escapes with Char, and a man that appears the same as the individuals that were all mixed together confronts him. And then the clone sorcerer reveals during this battle that Sojo had placed a bounty on Char and Chihiro's enchanted blade. And so essentially the sorcerer says something along the lines about there'll be a difference in power behind Chihiro and what he's doing and the blades that he saw in the war. Because this dirt guy, mud guy, was apparently someone who had been in the war and had seen things in the war. And so then another sorcerer rushes in, and he aims toward Chihiro's face, and then Chihiro remembers personal memories with his dad, and then his father dead.
I do have to say, if these were the soldiers that were in the war, I'm having some doubts. Okay, we're going to pull some records on how the war went, because I don't know. Some of these guys are real fodder. I was in the Great War. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you were carrying water, but I don't know if you were like in the war like that.
Actually into action.
Yeah, it might be some stolen some stolen valor going on.
Yeah, it kind of does feel that way, especially based on what happens next. But yeah. I mean, like at this point, Chihiro is being faced with two different sorcerers. One that can make clones of himself, create like dirt paths, and another one who can essentially expose you to your traumas. It's more or less Itachi's genjutsu. Yeah. as a sorcerer ability. What is your worst trauma? What's the worst thing that you experience? It feels like hours have passed. It's only been a few seconds. You are going through it. I forgot. What was the ability that Itachi used, stabbing Kakashi a bajillion times?
Oh, Tsukiyomi?
Tsukiyomi. More or less, this sorcerer's ability is infinite Tsukiyomi, right? And so we see something here that is wild. After Chihiro wakes up from the traumatic illusion, the dirt sorcerer says, should we eat Char? We're like, huh? What do you mean, bro? He's like, nope, don't do that. We want the money. The other sorcerers, we want the money. And then he says, that business about eating the flesh of the Koyagi clan, making you immortal, is pure nonsense. And here's where we're like, oh, shoot. This explains a lot, right? We get a pretty big point in the storyline of why Char is being chased, why there's a bounty on her head, like what's happening right now, because there's this rumor that people from her clan eating the flesh from her clan can make somebody immortal. And so the sorcerer says, "Hey, the rumors are born out of this reality." And then he takes his hands on this little girl's leg, and he uses his full force to basically crush her leg. And it's brutal. You see the blood dripping. And then the leg seems to expand slightly and fix itself. But she still feels the pain. So she's like in tears.
Poor kid.
And it's wild, bro. And so
did we lose him?
Gray. Oh no.
What?
I think we
got lost for a second.
Did I go away?
Internet connection problem.
Yeah, you're back. Oh,
shoot, really? What was the last thing y'all heard me say? So I don't want to. I'm frozen again?
No, you were talking about her healing back. And
okay, and then it froze. Okay. Yeah. Wild scene, right? She is severely injured, and then she's not injured. And then like that's how they got this rumor that like because when you essentially when you hurt people from this clan, their bodies heal almost instantly. And so they're like, we're gonna do even more. And so the trauma sorcerer tries to grab Enten. Chihiro grabs his short sword, and, like cuts off the sorcerer's hand. He's like, "What? How can you move? How is this possible? I put you under severe mental trauma. You shouldn't be able to do anything." And Chihiro says, "That day is what drives me. You just made the reason clearer." I was like, "Oh!" And literally, he just kind of goes pure butcher mode and just absolutely cleans all of them by himself, single-handedly. Absolutely bonkers. And so then he talks to Char. He's like, "Oh, okay, so they're after you because of your powers. And you didn't want to tell me because you thought that I would take advantage of them. Is that right?" And she's like, "Yeah." But she was about to tell him. There's a scene earlier that I'm doing a summary, so I didn't cover this. But there's a scene earlier where she was about to tell him. But then she stops. And it's because she actually felt like she could begin to trust him. And so he gives her his food. And then they go to the next scene. So, really wild sections in the story. But we get to the next scene. So we meet another sorcerer that shows up to continue the fight. And yes, we meet Azami. And Azami shows up because 3 sorcerers show up to ambush Chihiro with Char on his back. And so Azami shows up and he's like, "Yeah, we're not doing that. I'm gonna take care of this myself." And literally, when they see who he is, he represents a group called the Kamanabi. They back off. They're like, "Ooh, we just don't want to smoke with that group. That group is a little different from the group we were just fighting. We're going to back off and leave you all alone." And so they go to Cafe Haru Haru. And then Azami says that the Kamanabi's mission is only to eliminate threats to the nation. So he's not really allowed to do too much to help Char and Sojo. And Shiba mentions that he used to be a member of the Kamanabi in this scene, but he left them because of their obligation to their very specific mission. Azami's not happy with Shiba, though, because Shiba allowed Chihiro to be using this blade in public. And now the Kamanabi seem to be like a group focused on order, are now aware of a 7th blade, which is problematic. It's problematic. So Shiba essentially appeals to Azami's awareness of Chihiro's capabilities. He's like, Chihiro can fight now. He's gotten pretty good at using N10. Like, he's not to be underestimated. And so then Azami shares with the group that there is going to be an auction called the Rakuzachi, and one of Kunishige's enchanted blades, the Shinichi, is going to be up for sale. Auction. Yeah, it's going to be up for sale. Which is a sobering series of events. And so they're like, we got to prepare for this auction so that way when it goes down, we're ready.
Man, being part of a secret auction is probably really cool.
Being part of a secret auction?
Yeah, I want to be a part of one secret auction at least once in my life, you know?
You want to see if you could buy
like not like a weird one. Not like a we're selling people one, but like a, you know, we've pilfered ancient artifacts one.
They saw the Saboti arc, and it's like, why is Straw Hat interrupted this auction going on? I don't. It's like you can't buy property in peace.
I don't know. No. But I would like some rare artifacts from the Orient. You know, you've never wanted like some rare pieces of armor that were stolen from ancient tombs. No, it's not your. No, just me. Okay.
I wouldn't go to a shady auction to grab it personally speaking, but each their own. You know, I mean, some of us are, you know, admire history from afar, and some of us are colonizers. You know, so
I mean, hey. Sometimes you gotta, you know, is it colonizing? Maybe, I don't know.
It's a whole different definition.
But you know, it goes hard. You know, that's what you got to say. You can say, yeah, maybe this is a little colonizing, but my fully my full you know, Han period armor goes hard. So who's the real winner?
Options on the table, you know. Options on the table. So things have kind of escalated. Things have escalated at this point. Because at one point it was just, you know, Shiba, Chihiro, protecting this girl, does she know about this blade? It was a very isolated situation where it was just the three of them trying to figure things out. Things have ramped up. Now that Azami's gotten involved and the Kamanabe are involved, things have ramped. Now, the other side of that coin is that they don't have to worry about getting chased as much because Sojo's Lokis are not fighting the Kamanabe. They were in it for a bounty, but they don't want to go against like the people who establish order and fight sorcerers for fun. Like that's not who they want smoke with. So because things are going to be a bit calmer, Shiba and Azami kind of leave to plan what they want to do next. They tell Chihiro to chill, stay put, relax, don't do anything crazy. He now allows him to stay in the cafe's back room, which should keep them safe. Because they'll be out of a menacing eye, and then we kind of take a little bit of a step back. We actually see Norisaku, the Daruma guy, during Shiba's interrogation. So Norisaku shares all this information, and then Shiba tells him, "Hey, I know you were a mad bomber that committed a ton of crimes, but you should just start over because you actually seem like a guy that has a moral code somehow. I can sense it in you. And because I can sense it in you, I think you have the capability to start over, try again." And as it turns out, he was right.
Who else was disappointed that he wasn't black? Just me?
Just an Asian guy with an afro.
Yeah, bro. Okay, it's more than that. It's more than that, dog. It's more than that. We gotta like. I maybe it is possible to achieve hair like that. You know, if you have like the straight Japanese hair, but this man had a full high top. On top of the high top, I guess it was his lips were fuller.
Yeah.
And I'm just he looks like at the very least like he's mixed or something. But then he just washes it all out.
Turns to a kappa.
Yeah, I see where you get it from there. But yeah, I think he is just some white man.
It's very disappointing. Very, 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 very disappointing. They've tricked me once
again. One of those
again.
things where I just like, this is interesting. But like you can tell that Shiba really didn't want to help this guy. Because he was just like, don't be crazy. Like I can't change based on what I've done. Like my family hates me because of what I've done. And he's just like, if you feel remorse because of your family being angry at you because of the crimes you committed, then there is a path to redemption that exists for you. And he didn't realize that, which is a kind of an interesting point. Norisaku did not realize that there was a path to redemption. So he calls his sister, says, I'm done with all of this. I'm tapping out. And I want to make things right. And so the sister's
I'm retiring.
Like, hey, I'm retired.
I'm out of the sorcerer game. Nothing bad can happen. It's all clean skies over here. I got a new job. Everything's great.
I'm walking away. Got a new job. Yeah, everything's different. So there's this wild scene where he's just like, the room of the sorcerer is dead. From this time on, I'm gonna change. And his sister's like, I'll go pick you up. So the car shows up. He hops in the car. Says, wow, thanks, sis. And then he looks over, and his sister has been sliced. Part of her blood is like splashed on the door window. Mm-hmm. And she seems like she's dead. And then he looks in the rear view, and there's our king of the underworld, Sojo, with the cloud gouger right through the belly, through the back seat. Right? And he's just like, how did you even know that I would even be here? My sister didn't even do anything. Like, what's happening right now? And Sojo says, hey, this is the cost of not finishing your work. Them's the breaks. And when he says it, at that point, Norisaku's like, wait, deaths? My mom? Like, you've already, like, what's happening? Like, you've already killed multiple people in relation to me? And that means it's not just my sister. You also took out my mom. And so he's like, I'm getting you back. I'm getting revenge right now. So he essentially tries to expand his Daruma doll. However, Sojo freezes him and the Daruma doll together.
Yeah.
And it almost seems to freeze time, right? Like the entire existence is frozen in ice, encased in ice. And then he makes a pretty twisted statement. He's just like, your sister was just unconscious, but she was alive. But you don't finish anything. So if you're going to choose a path in life, you should at least devote your entire life to it. And so then Daruma explodes, accidentally murdering his own sister and himself.
Yeah,
this is our introduction to Sojo in the field.
He got outstand battled.
He got outstand battled.
He did.
You didn't expect his ability to get countered by the enemy's head of freezing the explosion in place.
Happens to the best of us. It's really why I could never I can never really be a sand user in or pretty much any of these sorcerers, any of these abilities. If I was going to be a hunter or a whatever in any shonen, it would have to be a real dumbed down universe. Very simple mechanics because I can't keep up with it. I just can't keep up with it.
Hey, just don't tell anyone your ability, and you should be.
I don't want to get got because I don't know molecular biology or something. It's like, well, actually, you
that's a tough spot.
You would have won if you didn't step into that puddle.
Yeah. Like maybe I can make it like a Dragon Ball or something, where it's real simple, but like if you threw me in the JoJo's, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, their powers are so nuanced in JoJo's. It's a different game entirely. I'm not gonna lie. So what happens next is kind of wild. So the trauma sorcerer has a younger brother. The younger brother has kind of the same ability, and he watched his brother's head fly during that Chihiro fight. So naturally, he wants payback. So he talks to Sojo, says, "Hey, I want you to kill the Scar Sorcerer for me." Sojo's like, "Yep, I got you. I'll take care of it for you." And then he starts to like go for his sword, and then we're like, "Hey, whoa! I gave you the info you were looking for. What are you doing over there?" He said, "Hey, man, listen. I gotta get my blood pumping." And he grabs him by the neck. And, the younger brother has the same ability, so he makes Sojo relive his deepest trauma. And he's like, wow, that was kind of cool how that power works. Anywho, there goes your head. And literally beheads him immediately following. Like, very casual, just like, oh, wow. You're right. I haven't remembered that. That was actually pretty wild. Felt like a while that you did that there. And he goes to the cafe. Sojo goes to the cafe. And as he's entering the cafe, Chihiro sees him. And they immediately clash. And he realizes what he's looking at when clouds begin to emanate from the sword. Cloud Gouger. It starts to like bubble and smoke. And so Char, hearing a loud boom, wakes up from the back room. She goes up to see what's going on, and she sees that Cloud Gouger has essentially bursted Chihiro through multiple layers of wall far away. And Chihiro more or less says cold lines like, "Oh, you're Sojo. Your blood is stained. You're sort of stained with the blood of evildoers." And Sojo's like, "I don't care about any of this stuff you're talking about right now." He's like, "All right, cool. Then you don't have any business wielding that sword." And Sojo's hyped. He's like, "Yeah, fight, it's about time. Bring it on." So it's interesting that we can see kind of the juxtaposition of these two very different characters. Sojo, who has been waiting for a fight this entire time, and Chihiro, who does not want to, but feels like he has a sense of duty to protect his father's legacy. And then we shift backwards to a conversation between Shiba and what's his name? Azami. Yep. So Chihiro and Azami. Chihiro and not Chihiro. It's Shiba. Shiba and Azami are kind of talking about Cloud Gouger, kind of all the abilities of the blade, and they really have a conversation more or less about the idea of these blades having a very linear reputation. These blades were the thing that brought an end to the war. They are tools of heroes, and they were only used in wartime. They were not used around civilians. Civilians only have heard legacies and rumors of these blades. And if they're used in a way that tarnishes their reputation, it will have very bad after effects. And then they go to a scene of these swords being used in a civilian confrontation between which is great, right?
It is interesting how when they're going at it, it gets to a certain spot where he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna nuke the spot.
He's too much of a crash off to do that. Bro.
Basically, yeah.
And he seems a little upset. He seems a little upset that he didn't get the opportunity to like nuke the area with everyone in it.
He just wants bodies on the ground. he's just like, yeah, yo, we got these enchanted swords. Let's get cracking. You know, these swords are meant to like kill people, bro. Like, if your sword doesn't kill, what's the point? Yeah, Gojo's very unhinged, to say the least.
Yes. Sojo's extremely unhinged.
Sojo. Gojo.
Yeah. Wrong series, brother. It's a really interesting scene too that happens next. Because Chihiro is very closely. He's extremely observant. I didn't talk about this because it's a summary, but throughout the series so far, we noticed that Chihiro's powers of observation, his observation hockey, is kind of maxed out. That was a One Piece reference. He's extremely observant, and whenever he sees something, he kind of anticipates like intentions. He's like, "Oh, like, you seem like your eyes and your body language showing me that you're hungry." And it seems like you'd be hungry for this particular thing. Like he has like this really, really sense of observation. So he's watching how Sojo is moving into space, and he's just like, Sojo is utterly obsessed with this blade. He's pretty much ignoring the girl. The girl's almost like an afterthought to him. And he's just like, that's weird. Maybe I can get him away from the building and away from the girl by kind of baiting him into a fight. So he jumps out the door. They're jumping on rooftops. They're going all around the city. And Chihiro has an interesting advantage because he knows everything about Cloud Gouger's abilities.
Yeah.
And we kind of see it on display during the fight. Whereas the reverse is Sojo knows next to nothing about Enten. However, what's ended up happening is the gap of experience versus the gap of knowledge proves that experience holds way more weight. Because Sojo is a trained killer, and he loves using his blade and practicing with his blade to kill people. And so during this fight, he looks at Sojo, and Sojo's just like, man, this is great. This is fun. He's having a ball. He's not even breathing hard. And at the same time, Chihiro's like winded. And so there's a little bit of a conversation that happens here. When Sojo admits that he loves Konishigi Rokuhira. And that's very confusing to Chihiro. It's like, what is happening? And so he asks Chihiro's motivation for wielding the enchanted blade. Chihiro expresses what he's doing. He says, I'm here to defeat the evil, protect the weak. Always. That is why I do what I do. And you can kind of see the joy and the excitement kind of just
I think he rolls his eyes.
Yeah.
So just like, oh brother, what a loser.
I'm surprised this isn't like like a meme panel or sticker.
Yeah, bro.
That's a lot of
bro, he is so annoying. His character is very funny. Through a variety of moments, he rolls his eyes a lot. He's a bit like, oh, brother, this guy stinks. Kind of energy.
Yeah, I think overall, Sojo works as a really good like first arc like antagonist.
1,000,000,000,000%.
Yeah.
His passion for Chihiro's father is such a great opening to Chihiro's first main antagonist, right? Because his perspective of Kunishige is more so rooted in admiration for creating these devices, these tools that could be used for mass murder. And he's just like, you want to protect the weak? Stop it. You don't understand anything about Konishige Rokihira. I even haven't heard the blade. You know nothing about him. Like, how do you even get that? And you know nothing about the legend. Like, I know everything about the legend. I am obsessed with him. I'm his biggest fan. In fact, I'm going to show you exactly what he wanted. And he proceeds to jump off the roof and backflip into a crowded street while charging May, which is one of the abilities of Cloud Gouger. and he said their only purpose is to kill. And we kind of get these flashes. It's kind of interesting manga panels. We get flashes between the conversation that they are having in the car about these enchanted blades and the enchanted blades being used in real time. He's like, if they fight with these blades in the city, there will be so many civilian casualties and people will never see Rokuhira the same. And like, you know, he's just like charging them as if there's so much power. I can feel it surging through me. And he tries to use May to essentially just murder civilians. Like, these civilians haven't done anything. There's no real value to murdering these civilians. Just to kind of show how strong the weapon is. Yeah. And he tries to unleash May. And when he does this, what ends up happening is Chihiro goes down and he unleashes Nishiki in order to absorb the damage from May. So he doesn't use any ability. I'm sorry. He just holds his sword forward. he literally just like with his own electricity. Yes. Electricity to electricity. Acts like a lightning rod. Insane, right? But doesn't really use an ability per se. He just kind of charges up a little bit. Yeah. Give me that electricity. I'll eat it, right? So he essentially used his body as a lightning rod in this fight. However, what he didn't realize is that after he releases a May, there's a recharge time. But Chihiro knew there was a recharge time. And so then he says, "All right, I have to slay this guy. Like this is the target of what I need to be after." And then he unleashes Nishiki. And he is very injured at this point. Like his body is charred. He's bleeding. He just got hit with lightning. He's in an extreme amount of pain. So then we go to a scene of Hinao and Char. Okay. Hinao and Char kind of getting away from the fight. And so Sojo talks about how Chihiro's motives for wielding his blade are trash. And he really tries to like get Chihiro like ramped up, tries to like get him angry. And Chihiro ends up sharing with Sojo that he's the kid of the guy that he loves so much. Which is a wild reveal, right? So Sojo essentially realizes that Chihiro's power and speed are increasing, and he's not really able to find an advantage, even though Chihiro is kind of like hitting his breaking point. And so then Chihiro sees a car that belongs to Sojo, affiliated with Sojo, and he sees Char's leg inside the car. And he no longer focused on this fight. He's like, oh my God, I forgot about Char. And so he then speeds after the car, trying to rescue Char instead of fighting. Sojo fires a Mei after Chihiro. And then the rest of the Kamunabi show up. And they, alongside Asami and Chiba on a rooftop nearby, show up to try to prevent the worst from happening.
Did anyone else smell the jobber energy waving off of this group when you first saw them? When you first saw this group, did you just have a feeling that all five of them were going to get boomed in a fight?
You know, it reminds me of that. It reminds me of that scene. I don't know if you guys saw the last night, Transformers: The Last Night, where that fake Suicide Squad scene comes around.
Oh yeah, the Megatron's boys.
Yeah, and then like, oh, we're gonna get a big battle, and then 5 minutes later, they're just all killed and wiped off the planet. Yeah, it just felt the same with these guys here.
Yeah, I'm getting some real what do they call them? The shadows or the shadow.
Oh, from Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, yeah, the Shadow Beast.
Shadow Beast. that was a job. No, that was a job squad. That was a job squad for sure. But yeah, Gray, you were saying?
Yes. So, it's a really funny scene because when the Kamunabi show up, he like looks at them and he kind of makes a statement like, "Oh, those 5, I could take them." And then he looks up at at
Shiba.
Yes, at Shiba and
Asami
and Azami, and he's just like, "Oh, but those 2 and these 5, that's a little much for me. That's a little much for me. That's a little OD." And so then he's like, "All right, I can't take them right now. It's too much." So he essentially backs off. He uses his Ko, which releases a smoke screen. And this whole time, right, Chihiro is rapidly chasing Char because he thinks, "Oh my gosh, I let this girl get kidnapped. Like I failed." He goes into the car and like instantly beheads the guy holding the leg. Like instantly. He grabs the body. The
panel is crazy.
Yeah.
The panel is super bonkers, bro. Absolutely crazy. He grabs the driver, throws the driver out of the car because the car has no driver. The car flips over and it's flipping over behind him. So the guy's on the ground, blade to his neck, and the car crashes behind them. Very clean action movie fight choreography here. So what have you done with Char? And so the driver's like, Master Sojo's orders was to confuse the enemy. He said to chop her up. And it worked. We fooled you.
Yeah.
Horrible. Horrible. So, yo, listen, man. And so the scene then ends with Chihiro basically like leaning up, completely exhausted. And they have this very subtle moment where they just show him kind of like slicing the neck of the driver as he like leans up. And then he kind of falls over. And we see Shiba kind of show up. He says, "Where is Sojo? Where is this guy?" He said he vanished. And they're showing essentially Char in the back of the vehicle that Sojo was getting into, and her legs are coming back because they were both chopped off. And she's just crying. She's in tears. And so he says, Sojo, more or less, says, "I need to deepen my understanding of how to use these blades." And so then he says, he's asked, "Are you going to forget about the enchanted blades?" He says, "Of course not. Forget about the blades?" Mm-mm. He said, "Me and that man Chihiro need to talk more." And Chihiro literally bloodied, physically roasted, literally says that he needs to cut Sojo down. Calls him out by name. And so we fast forward and we see Chihiro wake up in a hospital. Shiba and Azabi get into the hospital. They're very relieved that Chihiro woke up. They explain that a Kunanabi hospital would have treated them faster, but it would also mean that they'd have to tell the Kamunabi that Chihiro is the son of the legendary blacksmith Roshi. The names, I'm sorry, Roshi. Right? Yeah. So they're like, "All right, we can't do that. So we can bring him to a hospital affiliated with the Kamunabi." So they brought him to a normal hospital. So Shiba tells Chihiro that Hina was knocked unconscious by Sojo's underlings, but she's recovering. Char is still missing though. So Shiba says that Sojo is in possession of some Datenseki. And the Datenseki is a material that's used to forge enchanted blades. So somehow Sojo has access to the material, the raw material that's used to make enchanted blades. So then they fast forward to Sojo inside of a castle. And he's kind of explaining how the Datenseki works. Discovered during the Sete War, only a set amount was known to exist, 250 kilos. and when you put spirit energy into the mineral, it's magnified, but then the energy is sent back to the person who wielded it. So if you put energy into it, it just bounces back, and it makes the user's body explode because they cannot contain the multiplied energy that's sent back to you. But Kunishige was somehow able to work with this material and then weaponize it in a form that could be used safely. Unbelievable, right?
So Chihiro definitely knows how to do it, right?
They don't say that yet in the story.
I feel like he's got it.
Well, so far he hasn't made his own enchanted blade. All the blades that exist so far were made by his dad.
Yeah.
He also doesn't have a desire to make one right now in the story. Right now, his main desire, his main goal is to retrieve the blades of his dad. Maybe he can make a blade. I mean, he watched his dad work on swords, but he did not watch his dad make the 6 enchanted blades because they were made during the war, which was super long ago. Chihiro was not born yet. So those things, yeah, I mean,
like I think that
in theory, yeah, that could be pretty cool, right? We'll see what the future of Kagurabachi holds. But at this stage in the story, he's on his revenge. He's on his Sasuke energy. He's got to get his lick back. Sojo thinks, and here's where it gets crazy. Sojo thinks that he can use the cells of this regenerating clan to stabilize the Datenseki in order to create a new weapon. Absolutely disturbing. Because he's now realizing what they're doing to this girl, right? He's realizing, like, it's even like a moment of like, oh my God, that's why they want her, right? So he asks about N10, and Azami tells him that it's safe. He then explains that the Kaminabi have put an elite squadron together. They're calling themselves the Anti-Cloud Gouger Special Forces. And he asks for Chihiro to share what he knows about Cloud Gouger with this group. Shiba vouched that they were all loyal to Azami, and so Chihiro's like, all right, I'm with that. That's fine. We see them, the Special Forces group, enter the room after Chihiro's acceptance, and their captain explains that Kashara was searching for Sojo's newest base of operations, and he asks for Chihiro's information. Chihiro tells him that he can join the operation. He says he'll tell them if he's allowed to join the operation, right? Kazane does not agree with that idea. I think it's a terrible idea. Uzuki calms him down and tells him that Chihiro showed skill during the fight with Sojo, even the way they did protected civilians, because none of the civilians died, which is an insane achievement for an enchanted blade fight. That should not have been possible. But Shiba then says Chihiro had hit some serious wounds. And then the muscles on his left arm were really badly damaged. He wouldn't be combat ready for about a month. So they come with a compromise, right? The Anti-Cloud Gouger Special Forces are not here to just fight. They're here to kill Sojo. So they're going to handle Sojo. But Chihiro can rescue the girl. He can rescue Char. Chihiro agrees to those conditions. So they discuss the plan. Special Forces lead to find out Sojo's hideout. And then there's like a scene where Shiba really is paying attention to how determined Chihiro is at this point in the story. He thinks about himself when he was younger, alongside like Azami and Kunishige, and kind of like their connection together. And then Chihiro gets a call from the Kaminabi telling him, all right, it's time for you to move out now too. So Sojo leaves the castle, and he enters a bathhouse to think about what Chihiro's already shared with him. He's mind blown that Rokihira has a kid. Sojo can't believe it. He's like, there's no way. This is crazy. He's even more shocked that there's a 7th enchanted blade. And he's also completely disgusted that Chihiro has these like ideals of stopping evil. This is ridiculous, right? So Sojo's like, yeah, he's like,
that's not what Roku Hero would have wanted.
It's very reminiscent of we played the Metal Gear series. There is a big kind of like divide after like a lot of the events after the third one, Snake Eater, are people interpreting the will of a character called like the boss, and multiple characters, protagonists and antagonists, are like, no, I understand the boss's will. I know why the boss did what she did, so I am the true inheritor of the boss's will. So my plan at controlling this force or the Metal Gears or doing this terrorist action makes perfect sense because I'm the only real inheritor of the boss's will. And there's like 5 guys like that all running around in the Metal Gear world, all with like their own kind of like world control plans. They like all insist that they are actually the only true inheritor or the only person who really understood what the boss wanted.
Right? Like, I knew what he wanted. Nah, I did. Nah, I do. Well, actually, look at it like this. I think I have a good. He's like, bruh. I think he said what his intentions out pretty obviously, bro. There's no misinterpretations of what he would have wanted. And that's kind of how I feel about with Roku Hero and Sojo's view of him. Just like, yes, there's blacksmith who's fun loving and who makes swords for the love of the game and is super skilled. I'm pretty sure he didn't have like mass murder on the top.
He probably imagines him differently. You have to assume he imagines him differently. Oh, you know what? Maybe his dad was like really cold during the war.
Oh, maybe. So the kids across him. He's just like, man, these weapons are so cool. They have all these different abilities and whatnot. The guy who made him must have been a huge master. I'm talking like Dexter level. Like, oh my! I'm trying to get like him for real. I'm trying to get like you, my man.
Want to get like you, my boy?
Right.
But yeah, crazy perspectives, right? Like everyone kind of is interpreting Rokuhida's will very differently. Very similar to what you compared it to be. I thought that was a good comparison. But Sojo realizes, especially based on that fight, it's like, I don't really know Cloud Gouge as well as I should. So I just need a little bit more practice. I gotta understand this thing better. I need a warm up. So he's in the bathhouse. He gets from the bathhouse. He's like, the perfect warm up. And then he walks out of the bathhouse, and here we see the Kamunabi, right? Mm-hmm. The anti-gouger special forces, right? And he kind of has this monologue, which is really interesting, about how the Kamunabi have essentially been the law and order for sorcerers in the entire country. Things did not spiral out of control. They did not reach into a state of chaos because these guys control it. And he's just like, this is going to be great. I cannot wait to fight the guys. And he's just excited because he knows that if he's only fighting these 5, he feels extremely confident in his ability to beat them, which is telling, but also somewhat funny based on what was discussed earlier. These guys are cannon fodder. They're really strong to other sorcerers, but not to him. So then we fast forward to the castle where Char is being held, which is where Chihiro was supposed to head to. And a little goldfish floating around, a group of 3 guards. And we see Chihiro in the shadows, kind of like staring. And then they fast forward to a phone call. And Chihiro is literally just sitting in front of one of the guards to interrogate him. The other 2 guards are cooked for the forfeit that they're done. So then we go back to Sojo. He's sizing up the squad. Harima's using Gansui to launch like several pieces of earth into the air underneath Sojo. And then the Kamunabi squad follow up. Now, in the hospital, they kind of go back a little bit here. In the hospital, Chihiro had kind of explained to the anti-Gouger Special Forces how Cloud Gouger works. He mentioned 3 abilities. It has an ability called Yui, which controls ice, Ko, which controls water, and Mei, which controls lightning. And then they go back to the fight. So then Harima requests Azami to back him up. And he explains why only 6 members of the anti-Gouger Cloud Force Special Forces were assigned. They explained that the Kamunabi were wary of the upcoming auction and what the Hisaku were doing. They didn't want to allocate all their resources to fighting this one guy. Too much for one opponent. And they said that instead of just using pure strength, they really needed a strategy to counter an enchanted blade. It's too powerful for them to just try to throw brute strength at it. So then Kazane protects Harima. She's focusing on maintaining the floating earth pieces. The other 4 members barrage Sojo with attacks. Chihiro advised them to do this in order to prevent Sojo from charging up Mei, which would increase its power to an extent that it could kill someone if it hit. Now, they go back to the present, and Sojo picks up on their strategy, and he's using Ko to spray the area with water, and then he uses Mei, the lightning ability, to strike them after they get wet. Really simple combo. Hit you with the water, hit you with the lightning, right? Even though the lightning is not extremely powerful in the scene, it's still enough to hurt them because they're soaking wet. And it also is designed to give him time to charge up his more powerful ability. Then they go back to Chihiro. He's just like, I foresaw that plan. It's very like a psychological shonen character coded, which is kind of funny. He's like, Sojo's gonna do this. He's gonna use Ko. He's gonna use Mei. Really common. Let him do it. So he can charge up Mei and make him feel like this was his plan all along. And as he's charging it, he's going to be vulnerable. It gives you a chance to strike. Back to the present. Kamunabi recover, and Hagiwara is the only one that doesn't jump out of the way, and Sojo unleashes his charged Mei. He uses Jikai to repel the ground, and then Sojo and the water go flying upward. Sojo uses lightning that flows through the water, and he completely misses the Kamunabi because of the ability. It makes the miss. Kashara, Uzuki, and Kugura rush into attack, take advantage of the Mei's downtime because the time gap. And then we go back to the castle scene. Now, at the castle, the guard tells him that there is one entrance to the lab where Char is being held. It's in the basement, and is being guarded by sorcerers, including the Mohawk sorcerers that he fought against previously, right? So now, great. So he deals with the guard, and then he goes into the basement. He hides in the rafters, and he's watching the Mohawk twin stand guard. Now, keep in mind, he is still injured, very badly so. He cannot fight the way that he's used to fighting, right? And then he thinks back. He has a flashback. He's like, his dad told him that the Enchanted Blades had a true realm beyond their theoretical values, and that their abilities and limitations could shift greatly based on who's wielding them. And so when before the Kamunabi left, Chihiro tells them about that true realm element. And he wants the squad to be mindful of it because it's very possible that Sojo could do something completely unexpected that he's never seen before, right? Shiba teleports to a shed close to the castle. He had come to raid Sojo's base alongside Chihiro, and then the guard reveals that the shed is connected to an underground storage room guarded by several sorcerers. But Shiba and Chihiro decide to split up to investigate. Because they're not just there to rescue Char, but they're also there to find links between Sojo, the Shinichi, and the Hishaku. They're trying to bring this all together. Before they split up, Shiba tells Chihiro to avoid combat whenever possible because he's just too badly hurt. So all these factors are in play, right? We get to the present. Chihiro is walking through the rafters. But he gets ambushed by a visor-wearing sorcerer and forced to the ground. And he's weakened. He's fighting with his non-dominant arm. He can't fight properly, he essentially has to escape for the situation. Shiba hears noise from the castle, but he's forced to fight several sorcerers, so he can't really pay attention to what's going on in this other area. So Chihiro hides behind a room of doors, and he's really frustrated that he can't do more. He's like, even if it was full strength, would I even be able to save Char? Like, I don't feel like I can do anything. And then he thinks back on his father's words, telling him to calm down and be more flexible if he ever becomes too narrow-minded. And then it's like, okay. Let me think of a different way to handle the situation. Instead of using his normal abilities the way that he always has, with this giant goldfish, he summons a school of black goldfish using an ability that he calls Kuro Shred. And it completely rips these people to, shreds.
Yeah, that was a cool way to do it.
It's a really cool way to do it.
Yeah, do a bunch of little
attacks. The scene is super clean. The scene is super cool. So I'll put an end to it all. See all these little black goldfish.
Art is still arting.
We get a flashback. Oh, what were you saying, Suba?
Oh no, not much. I'll just come in. Yeah, that art is still arting.
Yo, bro, listen. If the story isn't catching you yet, the art will. I'm not gonna lie to you. The art will catch you.
It reminds me a little bit about Sakamoto days. So it's a little refreshing to see it, because a little bit right now it's just I know doing art is very difficult, especially for manga, but for this it's just really cool, seamless lines, and just the splash pages are just amazing.
Yeah,
I
was gonna say and even what I really like about the action in Kagurabachi is that compared to other manga, it does a real good job of showcasing the action. Because I think I had an issue I have with reading some other action related stuff is that even though the fight itself might be cool, it may be difficult to capture movement on the page. But I think Kagurabachi shows that movement really well. You know what I mean? I love One Piece. You know what I mean? But when Oda be drawing fights, it's a real
especially current Oda. Yeah. Those panels are a little too busy.
There's a lot going on in his One Piece fights. You're right.
My only complaint I have about Kagurabachi's art style, and I'm sure this is something that will, as you progress and read it, it'll get better and better. I think some of the character designs are a little
lacking.
Boring. Yeah. It's not as strong as if I had to compare it. It almost feels like this will be something that look better in color. Because I think some of the black and white character designs, I don't know, some of the guys just look. I understand a lot of them are placed to be fodder, whatever, but it's I think Soju's designed very well. I think Chiro's designed very well, but some of the other guys are just kind of a little bit. I think that's one of the main things I have about the Job Squad is, their character designs they're not really hitting, right? And maybe they're just gonna show up here and then not really think about them, but I suspect we're gonna get to know them more over time. But it's just it's not as strong. If I compare it like this, they're not like Bleach designs. I think Bleach has very strong character designs, even for the low level guys. And I just don't. I'm not feeling that from these guys. They're not bad. But there's some real winners. I think the Burr guy, I think Sojo, I think Chihiro, are the strongest I've seen. But some of the other people, I'm not as
they just look like a guy.
Compelled by them right now for the first 18 chapters.
That's fair.
That's a fair critique. They do just feel like normal people. They don't feel like extremely impressive designs. I think your mention of Bleach is a really great example where each character has such an extremely distinctive aesthetic. It's not quite as strong here, but that's a fair critique. I respect that critique. That's fair. So now we flash to a flashback. We see Char's mother telling Char to keep her healing abilities a secret, to keep her safe. And then an arm rings the doorbell. Sojo's arm. And you're just like, oh my gosh, don't tell me this man pulled up to their house. And apparently he did. And then we go back to the present. And it's a really interesting scene because we heard the name Kuroshima. We didn't understand how it works. We saw a bunch of small fish, like, what's happening? Here, we actually get a bit more of an explanation to what the ability actually is doing. So Chihiro is using an ability called Kuro Shred. And what it's doing is it's allowing for a variety of small goldfish, about 20, they mentioned 20 mini attacks, that allow him to be able to do the same amount of damage, actually a lot more damage than he was doing before. Because even though his physical body is exhausted, he still has quite a bit of spiritual energy. So he doesn't have to tax his body as much. He can have these really powerful, compact swings. And it's mostly just using a lot more spirit energy, which he is able to expunge quite a bit of. And this states like this power was created by instinct because it's in such an extreme state of concentration. And that's what allowed him to exceed his limitations. Then we go back to the flashback. And then Soja is kind of talking about the Kiyonagi clan, how they were hunted to near extinction not long after the war because of that false rumor that eating their flesh would give you more immortality. But Sojo said that a certain man had sold the information that a 13-year-old girl survived the massacre and at this point had a child of her own. And Char was shocked by that news. Horrible thing to be mindful of. And so then Sojo shares that he had committed countless experiments on those two in order to find a way to harness the power of the Datenseki. And Char's mother wished for her daughter to live a happy life. And so she broke out of the cell with Char, found the only unguarded exit that Char was small enough to fit into, and then ordered her daughter to run away so that she could be happy. While she had her daughter run, she was causing chaos, set fire to the facility, killed some researchers, and then eventually she was killed herself. Char runs and eventually meets up with Chihiro. And so we kind of get that scene of kind of going back to the present. Now, the Mohawk sorcerers, which were able to beat Chihiro earlier, are back. And so they kind of mock Char's mother's attempts at freeing her daughter that failed. And we kind of get that moment of them saying, like, she could never protect that girl, right? Like, your mother's escape was all in vain. It's all trash. It's not worth any of it. And so Chihiro literally bursts through this courtyard, does every sorcerer and guard, gets to the basement, beheads both of the sorcerers, and then Chihiro offers Char a sandwich. They share an emotional reunion. She asks what took him so long.
I do like that. It's a nice moment.
Yeah, it was to your earlier point of emotional range. This is one of the few moments where Chihiro smiles. He's like, "Are you hungry?" And you're like, "I'll say a sandwich." It's kind of cute. Yeah. So then, Chihiro he's pretty exhausted at this point. He was exhausted before, but now he's extremely exhausted. He had been using the Shiki to kind of support his movements so he can actually move around. And then Char's realizing this, and she's seeing how burnt out he is. And so she uses her power to heal his hand. She remembers that her mom told that the source of their regeneration was the desire for the pain to stop. And so when they enter the courtyard, Chihiro passed Char over to Shiba, who was concerned about Chihiro's state. And then they quickly notice that there's a presence by the front gate. So Chiba and Char warn Chihiro to be careful. Chiba teleports Char away, and then Chihiro unsheathes Enten. Now, they kind of go backwards a little bit. Sojo was battling the Kaminabi. And the Kaminabi had a plan to essentially knock Sojo off of that island and to take his Cloud Gouger. And during the fight, the Kaminabi seemed like they were going to win, but then Sojo revealed that he had actually cloaked himself with the prior use of Mei. And after using a second Mei, he created an attraction force between himself and Cloud Gouger. So he's speeding across, catching the blade in his mouth, and inflicting really heavy damage on 2 members of the Kaminabi in the process. Hagiwara orders Kazane to use his sorcery, Kaichi. Sojo immediately zoomed over at lightning speed, and then sliced off Kazane's
Yeah, that
arm.
was a great. Once again, this is a great panel.
Yes.
This is really great panel work,
bro.
Yeah.
Just like we see the arms kind of burst off. She's like, demon monster, arms gone. Unbelievable. And it's like he's doing this by himself. Super, super clean fight. So then they kind of showed this scene of like floating pieces of earth that were crashed into the ocean. And at this point, Sojo is now going to Chihiro to fight him in the castle courtyard. Now, Sojo is looking at Chihiro, and he also realizes that, so I'm not the only one who got better at using his enchanted blade. It looks like you did too. And so he wanted to discuss it further, but he understood that what they did were not words, but simply combat. So the two of them activate their abilities. Chihiro activates Nishiki, Sojo activates Mei, and they speed up here in the clash. And the time limits of how much power they have left are but a mere 12 seconds. And here we get to the final duel between.
This is so cool.
Okay. This is. They show a 12-second countdown during each of the pages. So tough.
when it goes to the duel, when it cuts to them like sitting at the table,
yes,
and and they're having like conversation, through the battle. It's really great. This is really good stuff.
Yeah.
I agree. This is something that we've seen in some other series to an extent, that fighting allows you to talk without using your words. And they kind of emphasize it here through this like perceived scene of them having a lengthy conversation during this 12-second fight. Really, really well written. And part of what that conversation was about is Sojo really talks about how much he desires to talk more with Chihiro, and that he acknowledges Chihiro's beliefs. He doesn't want to dismiss them anymore, but he believes that his beliefs are superior to Chihiro's. Chihiro refuses that ideology, so he worked with his father every single day. And then Sojo was, for a moment, kind of captivated by the idea of kind of learning more about who Kunishige is, but he rejected it because he realized that whatever image of Kunishige that Chihiro held on to from his real-life experience would disrupt his own agenda with the Enchanted Blades. So he essentially favors his fantasy over the reality because of how strong his will is. Really interesting scene. I thought it was really well. And so Sojo kind of mentions that Cloud Gouger had accepted and harmonized with his desire to slaughter, just like Enten had kind of harmonized with Chihiro's desire to rescue Char. And he really felt like anyone could speak on behalf of Kunishige's vision for the Blades, and it gave their battle genuine meaning. Like I said, really interesting writing here. Now the two fighters are equally matched for quite a while, but as the time hits kind of like the end game, we're at the 9-second mark, Sojo kind of rears in with an attack that Chihiro can't dodge. So Chihiro essentially decides to sacrifice his arm, takes his right arm off in order to buy time to gain distance from Sojo, kind of grimacing at Sojo's high level of speed through the lightning cloaking. Now, Sojo mused that Chihiro's Nishiki was far faster than the last one that he used before. Time is ticking down. We're at 7.68 seconds in this scene next. And Sojo consolidates his knowledge on Chihiro's abilities and weighed out his own options. We get down to 6 seconds left in the fight. Sojo increases the amount of spirit energy that's on his lightning cloak to cloak himself twice what his body can handle, doubling his power, but having how much time he'll have left from 6 seconds directly down to 3. Sojo slashes in, but Chihiro dodges and even manages to counterattack. Sojo barely evades. We get back to their tea room scene, and he's really thinking about Chihiro's thinking about his father's words and kind of what those decisions would have really meant, and kind of seeing the world for himself and kind of perceiving reality through his own eyes. But he acknowledges that actually both Sojo and he can speak on behalf of his father, but he just won't show Sojo any respect because he feels like he's still not worthy of it. He's going to cut him down with even thicker bloodlust, which I thought was a really cold thing to say in that scene. So Chihiro actually slices off Sojo's left arm. Sojo realized that Chihiro had increased the spirit energy cloaking to triple his body's limit, cutting Chihiro's time down to 1.47 seconds. So the time is clicking down even faster now. So Chihiro swerves in again. Sojo predicts the move and strikes Cloud Gouger behind him, but Chihiro predicted Sojo would react that way. And he cancels his Nishiki to slow himself down, keeping himself out of Sojo's reach. He predicted what he would predict and then countered it. Genius. Now, Chihiro plans a point-blank Kuro at 0.89 seconds. Sojo tries to parry and charge one last Mei, but Chihiro's resulting attack deals severe damage to Sojo, but bisects Cloud Gouger, canceling the lightning. In this moment, Sojo collapses. He's fatally wounded, not only injured by the attack, but also exhausted by overcoating his body with spirit energy. Now, Chihiro was barely standing, exhausted for the exact same reason, but Sojo begrudgingly mutters the enchanted blade must have chosen Chihiro. Now, Chihiro admits that they had chosen Sojo too in that scene, which is kind of a cool moment where he's acknowledging that his enemy was also chosen by the blade just like he was.
I find it interesting that he breaks Cloud Gouger. And it makes me curious, is the goal throughout the series for Chihiro to collect the blades or to destroy the blades? Like which one is he going for? Because they make it seem, I guess, we'll get into with how when a blade is connected to a person, that once you got it, you kind of got it, right? And the only way to kind of deal with it is to destroy it. But I am curious if there's going to be an element to recovering them as well.
Yeah,
it's a good question. It's also interesting too that
more deeper in the series.
Keep on reading, folks. In very literal terms, all the questions end up getting answered, which is great because we all had these questions at this point in the story. Really, really good writing though, because it does pique your curiosity. He broke it. I mean, to be candid, even Sojo was shocked that he broke it. He's like, "What's happening right now?" So yeah, it's a really shocking moment. But realistically, based on what we know so far, it's clear that Chihiro is just extremely determined to get these swords out of the hands of people that will misuse them at any cost, even at the cost of potentially damaging or breaking a blade, which is really interesting. So we get to the point now where Sojo crawled away toward the castle interior. Shiba suggests finishing Sojo off, but Chihiro deems it unnecessary. He doesn't say we don't need to do that. Char insists on healing Chihiro's severed arm, but she fails. Was really sad about it. Shiba quickly assures her that she most likely didn't have mastery over the ability yet. She won't be able to heal back arms at this point of her capabilities. And Chihiro reminds her that her healing of his arm was really what allowed him to defeat Sojo in the first place, because she helped him. That's what even made that fight possible. Sojo drags himself into the laboratory, grabs the Detenseki, saying to himself, "I understand it now." Some of you may understand that reference. Thinking that because he understands the enchanted blades more now, that he'd be able to just use the mineral straight up. So he pours his energy into the stone, And just like the Deten would always do, it rebounds with more power. And he's just like, why isn't it working? And then what Chihiro says to Sojo, they decide to show it that no matter whether the Blades accepted him or not, he would never come close to measuring up to his father. His dad is still the GOAT. You hear me? The GOAT.
That's why he's
MVP. Rookie Heroes MVP, baby. Yeah, so super cool scene. And so Sojo tries one last time, even after this happens, to use the Deten again, and he screams Kunoshige's name. And because he's now doubled the damage of the rebound, the entire castle explodes. He overloaded that thing. So Shiba, trying to protect people he came with, he teleports them out of the explosion radius. We then fast forward 10 days later at the Kamanabe headquarters, and Azami's reporting on what happened at the castle to the other Kamanabe leaders. He talks about Sojo's death, the casualties among the anti-Cloud Gouger Special Forces, with all of them dead except for 2. Kazane's alive, Hagiwara's alive. And then the leaders discussed Shinichi's auction happening under a different seller's name, and the re-emphasizing the need to recover Shinichi and the importance of doing so before they move on to the topic of who's going to form the next lifelong contract with Cloud Gouger. They explain kind of how lifelong contracts work. So the enchanted blades are essentially bonded to an owner while the owner is still alive. If the owner dies, they can be bonded to somebody else. But if the owner's alive, it cannot be used by anybody else. It's locked into that one user. So the Kamanabe essentially had been protecting the enchanted blade bearers so that the Hishaku couldn't just kill the bearers and use the blades. It's a smart strategy. Don't allow these bearers to die. No one can use the blades for themselves. And then they report, well, Kazan explains that according to Kazane's report, that Chihiro Rukahira was Kunishigi's son. And he holds a 7th enchanted blade that they were not aware of. And he also defeated Sojo and he took Cloud Gouger. Izaro accuses the incident's cause to be Azami hiding Chihiro and Kunishigi. And tensions kind of rise because of that interference from Kazan. He orders an internal investigation to be conducted later, but he really wants to focus on retrieving these blades. And he decides to deploy Kagari. The Kagari is apparently the strongest fighter in the Kamanabe, and his objective will be to go up against Chihiro and to handle the threat of 2 active enchanted blades. She's even going to get permission to use a special weapon called Flame Bone all the way up to the torso. And that ends the first arc of Kagurabachi.
Yeah, pretty solid. Thanks for the summary, Gray. You know, I think it was pretty well. But if you had to give it a rating, what would you rate the first 18 chapters of Kagurabachi?
I could start us off.
I'll go last.
So I really messed with Kagurabachi. You know, I started reading it when it first came out, and like right now, or at least around the time when it first came out. And right now, I fell it out of the series a bit, but I think I were able to read up to like around like chapter 70 or 60. And I've still thoroughly enjoyed it. Like we've mentioned it before, but the visuals and the choreography is really good. The story I feel like is very gripping, and even like the power sets. Just we're gonna get like deeper into like how the powers work and like certain people's abilities and how they like go coincide with others. But it is sometimes like it's a real good mix of both martial arts with the swordsmanship and then actual like powers in the mix as well. and you don't ever really feel like it's just ever like a failing between the two of those concepts. Like it keeps up with the power system that it presents itself really well. Uh, and also, I'm looking forward to the anime. That's about to come out either this year or probably next year, actually. But yeah, I'm looking forward to when that anime drops. I hope the anime covers is a 24 episoder and covers this arc and the next arc, because I think the next arc is also
that'd be amazing.
Yeah, extremely well done.
Yeah.
But for right now, going off of the first arc, I give it a low peak. I think it's a good, solid first step. It's a lot, especially for like being the first real I guess conflict of Chihiro. We get a good sense of Chihiro's character. We get a good sense of the side characters too. Like I really like Shiba, and how like Shiba kind of gives me like this like Kakashi vibe. You like Sojo like looking at him at the building and be like, "Oh, I could take on these 5 bums right now, but Shiba's there." This might not be might be too much at this point. But yeah, the side characters, the villains, I think the antagonists are really good. And again, not even just the abilities, but how the abilities look, like the art style of the abilities, like between N10's fish attacks and Cloud Gager's storm attacks, and even later on we see other blades. I'm not gonna rate off of the other future stuff, just kind of bringing it up. But for what we see right now, I think it's all really well done. So I have to give it like a low peak for me.
That is interesting. I've never read. Well, this is my first time reading it, hearing about it. From the memes, obviously.
Yeah.
I've heard how much slander was going on to this. Then I heard good things about it, but I still never got into it. So by the time we start this podcast and reading it from now, I think this is a pretty good manga story. I love I like the main character. He's not strong. He is gonna get beat up, and it shows that he still needs to work to be done. So it's a really good start to this story, and the art style is really good. And I like how we progress through his allies and everything like that. So just a pretty good, fun shonen manga, and I give it like a mid peak. Is that a good thing? Mid peak. It's almost there. It's pretty good up there.
Okay. I think I'd agree. I give it a mid peak as well. This is a really great first start. Like I said, I read the first few chapters, but I wasn't really into Kagurabachi. But this got me. I think this was a good intro. This got me in. I will keep reading. And I can't say that for like everything we cover, but this is definitely a thing where I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. The author knows what he's doing. There's some sauce here. I will definitely keep reading this. So yeah, I will give it a mid peak.
Excellent. Sounds like I've introduced some of you to True Peak. I actually give this series the highest possible ranking of Peak.
Wow.
I give this series Peak. And I'm not gonna lie, I have a slight bias. Bray the Samurai is not just a cool name that I have. I am a sword nerd.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. 1 trillion. You're spot on, babe. There's a soft spot that I have in my heart for most series that involve swords. Most series that involve swords don't usually play into the martial arts space as heavily as Kagurabachi does. Like Bleach, of the big 3 anime that people usually refer to, Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece. Bleach is the sword heavy anime, but they don't dive super deep into sword play. They just show a lot of cool swords with blasts, which is nothing's bad with that. It's not a bad thing. but I think this series talks about swordplay in a really interesting way. It's got like a lot of intricate strategies and concepts. It has a set of rules that it establishes, a power structure. I think some of the best anime of all time utilize a similar concept, whether you're talking about chakra from Naruto or spiritual pressure from Bleach or et cetera, et cetera. We could go on and on. Hunter x Hunter has men. The use of sorcery in this series, and how so many people have the ability to use sorcery, but there's only a set number of these special blades that can unlock such incredible potential. And as you continue to use them, in the same way that a blacksmith refines raw ore and the blade gets stronger and the ore becomes something powerful and something dangerous like a katana, as these characters are using these blades, they're becoming stronger as people. They're growing as people. Their abilities are growing. I think that's such an intricate and interesting way to tell a story. It's almost like a double layered entendre that they've kind of built the story through. There are so many layers to this that I love so much. Art's incredible. Characters are so interesting. The writing and the dialogue are great. If there was a knock that I could possibly make, it may be that they introduced a lot of characters very quickly. But I can't knock it too much, because they almost needed to create combat elements, and they can't do that without introducing people. And they also can't show how dangerous the antagonist is without giving him someone to kill, right? So everything was done very intentionally, and I respect it. The hype moments in this series are extremely hype. Like, they literally, it's a manga. I'm not watching anything happen in real time, but I was like, oh, like during certain moments, they got me like super amped up.
Yeah.
And the X factor here, I think, we'll go back to some of our older language, but the X factor here really stands out to me when it comes to kind of how the depths of the main character and how his sword's capabilities kind of are explored through the story. I think even like the visuals of like the fish kind of floating in the spaces, almost reminiscent of moments from Hunter x Hunter, with the man-eating fish, although this series ramps it up to a pretty extreme degree. Just absolutely exceptional storytelling, exceptional art, exceptional character design. I call this peak of peak. This is, for me, a 10 out of 10 out of 10. They nailed it.
All right. Nice. Okay. Well, this definitely has me excited for the future of this series. And I note we have our first commenter of the night, Don Valadres, commenting about the swordplay in the manga only gets better. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm definitely excited about that. And I just want to see how crazy the swords get, because these swords are pretty nuts. I mean, the first one out of the gate had, like, I think both Chihiro's and Sojo's swords had like 3 abilities right out of the gate. Yeah. Yep. Usually, I feel like, in this type of power structure, you give him one, right? Sojo will be like, I'm the ice guy, or I'm the electricity guy, or whatever. But the fact that Cloud Gouger had like a full range of powers, I think is, it's setting it up, right? Because like I can already in my head, I'm like, okay, inevitably, I'm just gonna make an assumption, right? I'm just gonna look at the future. There will be a person with a fire sword in the future, but maybe this is just how I feel. But I feel if this is what we're cooking with now, it won't just be a fire sword. There'll be something else attached to it, right?
Yeah.
And that does have me excited.
Yeah, I really.
I mean, we did hear about Flamebone, right?
That's true.
And we don't know what Flamebone is at this point in the story. We just know that it is something that can be activated across your body up to the torso. And that this character is just the strongest person in this entire organization. And they are going to be hunting down Chihiro. Very exciting premise before we start the next arc. So you're spot on. The story is definitely designed to build a lot of excitement around things that you haven't seen yet, but to also build a sense of structure so you understand how things work. Really, really good storytelling.
Yeah, the foundation has been built very well in this first arc, and it really is just going to get like a whole lot better from here in like all aspects.
All right. So that is our conclusion. I guess if we were to put the scores together, we would put this mid peak. We're definitely in the mid peak, I would say, if you combine all the scores.
Nice.
So that is Kagurabachi. Enough time has passed, and we know this manga's good. So next week we will be covering something that I think supao brings up quite frequently, like as his top webtoon of like all time, one of his top webtoons of all time.
One of them.
That is The Boxer. So we're going to be covering the first 30 chapters of The Boxer. Everyone can take turns at like doing different manga webtoons or whatever. Just the intro arcs to see where we settle for a discussion. So I'm excited. This is highly recommended. I know it's not the only person I've seen recommend The Boxer. So I'm excited to see what's going down.
Yeah, it's gonna be fire.
But all right, thanks for everyone who stopped on for the live stream. We're gonna try to do this earlier next week, and maybe play around the structure a little bit. But we will keep trying to do this on Monday. So come on Monday night, and we will be doing the Peak of Fiction, and we will have this available to your podcast feeds in like a day or so. So have fun, y'all.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining the live feed. Thank you all for being fans of Peak. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.